Oh, hey, didn't see you there. I was just reading the greatest story of all time. Welcome back to Movie Mornings. I'm your host, Don Martino, and today we have a lot of exciting topics to get into. Jose's going to bring you guys a Percy Jackson review and a review for Avatar The Last Airbender. Two shows which I haven't watched because I'm a lazy ass. What's up, Jose? How you doing? You're on mute. You can't hear you. We can't hear you. He's on mute. What the hell? It still can't hear you. Nobody can hear you.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. I totally forgot that I was on mute. um, sorry. No. I'm great to be here. I'm excited to get into these conversations today. Like you said, I have seen both Avatar and Percy, and I'm honestly just excited to get into them both.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for you to get into them. And so let me explain myself really quick. So I was going to review Monarch, everybody. I really, really wanted to do that for everybody. It's one of here's the thing. You know what it is? It's one of those shows that, I started watching it, and I just got to be honest with everybody. I completely fell off of it. I'm not saying it's a bad show. That's not a full review. I'm not reviewing it because I fell off of it. Because I'm just like, I'm probably never going to finish this thing. It's fine. You know what I mean? Everything I've seen is fine. It's just watching a show is a time investment. So that's why I'm not going to review Monarch for everybody. So there's that. So very, very excited to get into your shows, though, that you watched. And Jose, I'm going to let you take it away. We're going to start with Percy Jackson because that one we're the most late on for sure as far as reviewing it. So go ahead, Jose. What'd you think of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief, which I believe is the full title, correct?
Yes, it is. It, I really enjoyed it a lot from beginning to end. Every episode had me intrigued. Obviously, the first episode ended in a way that got me excited for the second, and so on and so forth. Uh, Cinematography is beautifully shot. Um, what's the kid's name? I think was it Walter. I think his name
Oh,
is
gosh.
Walter.
I
I
love the
forget.
kids who Walker Scoble. Walker Scoble.
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah, he was honestly phenomenal. Carried the show. Um, I'm blanking on everyone else's names, but they all did amazing as well in their respective roles. It is it's closer to the source material than the movies. Obviously, that's what everyone's been saying, and I 100% agree. I know that Rick Riordan is looking at this show and saying, "Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted in terms of adapting this into live
Yeah.
action." And I honestly am excited for season two, whether it gets greenlit or not. I feel like it will because of how great this first season has been received, and also how season one ended.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, just overall the mythology of it and the whole VFX and everything was done beautifully. All the mythical creatures that were put in this show were
Yeah.
really cool. All the characters as well, like I said, were really they were great in their respective roles. And
Yeah.
I just honestly had a great time watching this entire show from
Uh,
beginning to end.
okay. Let's pretend like I've never seen any Percy Jackson. I've actually seen the movies personally, but let's pretend I haven't. Pitch this to me. What's the premise? Why should I be watching the show?
Okay.
Outside of just like I get it. I mean, I know it's all the scuttlebutt right now, right? If I'm like somebody who's on Disney Plus, I'm like, I get that the show's all the scuttlebutt, but what's the plot? Why do I watch it?
Okay, so it's essentially this kid whose name is obviously Percy Percy Jackson, and he is in high. I think by the time we see him, he's in high school. He's been kicked out of almost every single school because of personal problems.
Yeah.
He lost his father obviously because I mean his father is, as we know, well, actually no they don't know, so I probably shouldn't say that, but let's just say that he lost his father and he's got his stepfather now in his life that he kind of doesn't get along with. His mother he loves. His mother's the one that actually takes him to school and tries to get him to stay in school even though he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
um then stuff happens to him which he just can't explain until his mother finally decides, you know what, you weren't supposed to find out about this early, but I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you.
Right.
Basically says that you come from a god.
Right. Right.
Um, so you're basically a demigod, essentially. And so then he gets sent to a camp for other kids like him, where he will basically learn how to fit in and serve his purpose in life, which is a lot bigger than he thinks it is. Um,
Right.
and then so it's basically just his journey through finding himself and finding out what his meaning in life actually is
Yeah.
through the help of friends that he makes in this Camp Half Blood.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and he just meets other characters along the way, whether they're enemies or foes or friends, family that he didn't know he had, because obviously he doesn't really know much about his family.
Yeah. So it's Hogwarts for demigods. That's what we're looking
Essentially,
at. Yeah.
basically.
I know it's
Yeah,
like
it's like Harry Potter, but a different
yeah.
franchise, essentially.
Yeah, gotta love how they keep recycling these plots. But yeah, anyway, the sorry, I know you. I know you. Sounds like you really had a good time with it. I'm happy for you. The kid I like a lot, by the way. To be fair,
you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I mean, I still enjoyed it.
No, I mean you could argue even Harry Potter, and I'm a fan. Is recycled
Which
X-Men.
is copied. Actually, it's more really people say that it's recycled Star Wars.
I disagree. But the
In a sense, but yeah, teach their own.
never put those two in one sentence. But I will say that the thing I would the thing I would say is I do like the kid. I have been intrigued to watch Percy Jackson. Eventually I'll get around to it. I know again, like I said, it's all the scuttlebutt right now. So I get it and I do need to watch it. And I know the books are beloved. I was talking to Josh about this a little bit. Like I feel like I just missed the boat on this one,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I
you
just
did.
yeah, and I did watch the movie when it came out, and I was like, it was fine, yeah, it was okay. But this show, I did start it to be fair, and to me, I was like, so far, it just feels like the movie I watched. But you're saying it does get better as it goes. There's a lot more
Oh
expansion
yeah,
to it.
yeah. No,
Okay,
there's a lot more expansion and stuff that happens
okay,
as you
yeah,
go through the movie
yeah,
or the show, should I say? Sorry.
yeah. Okay, no, fair enough. All right, I mean, I guess I'm in. I'll check it out. But what grade would you give this personally?
I'd give it a low. It kind of depends because like this is kind of like a niche audience in a sense, kind
Yeah,
of. So I probably won't be for everyone because I know there's a lot of people like sci-fi kind of is a big genre, but at the same time, it's also kind of a niche genre.
yeah.
It's not for everyone, but I would still give it like the low end of like must watch,
Okay,
maybe even like high end of might watch. It
all right.
just I'm kind of like in that area right there, just because I know it's not for everyone. But if you are, if you love beautifully shot and well done shows with great story and stuff like that, then definitely, I'd
Okay.
recommend giving it a watch.
All right, cool, fair enough. All right, fantastic. All right, so that is the review for Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief. Tell us if you're gonna watch that. If you did watch it, what did you think? We definitely would love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. So be sure to do that. And then Jose watched one other one that I think is even a little bit more of a bigger deal to people, I think, right now. I said Percy Jackson was all the scuttlebutt, but this show is definitely the scuttlebutt right now because this one is definitely making a lot of waves. And to the point where I'm like even more interested to watch this one. The show that Jose is going to review here is Avatar The Last Airbender. So, Jose, go ahead and set us up for Avatar The Last Airbender. What'd you think of this?
Well, before we get into that, I mean, you're not wrong. I think at the time Percy Jackson was the scuttlebutt, but
Yeah.
as soon as this show came out, this
Yeah.
is now what everyone is talking about.
Yeah.
Um, let me just start off by saying I've seen the animated show Avatar.
Okay. Good.
Um,
Source material.
wasn't a huge fan of the live action movie that they released. I thought that was awfully done.
I'll second that. I've seen it as well. But yeah.
But I would say this is levels above levels above that movie.
Yeah.
Like Netflix with this, it's beautifully shot. The locations are all very beautiful. All the actors are very accurate to the animated
Oh, good.
characters, which I
Good, good, good.
absolutely loved how they were able to have the live action characters look so similar to the animated characters. Um, haven't really ever heard of any of these actors before, which I feel like is the case for a lot of people. Maybe some people know who
Isn't
that I had
Benedict Wong in the
personally.
show too, or am I wrong about that? I thought Benedict Wong was in the show.
No, I don't
Okay.
think he
Oh,
is.
you know who it is? You know what I'm thinking of? Not Benedict Wong, but Carson Teva from the Star Wars universe. The one that plays Carson Teva, the rebel pilot. He's in the show. I know that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Paul Soon Hyung.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
he
you. I
is.
couldn't think of the actor, but go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's one. Then there's one. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
totally forgot that was him
Yeah,
for
go
a
ahead.
second. But yeah, no, yeah. So beautifully shot. All the actors, were great in their roles. I know that the one thing that people are kind of, one gripe they have with the show is that they took out the sexism from that as, what's his name, Soka had in the animated series.
Okay.
Um, which I mean, teach their own.
Yeah.
I know the fans are probably the true fans of Avatar are kind of probably a little upset with that. But I mean, beside that aside, that's like one of the smallest gripes, honestly, in my opinion, because I feel like that the way that they built his character up in this live action show worked,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I honestly so I watched the first two episodes with some friends at their house, and then as soon as I got home, I finished the rest of it.
Okay.
Like, it had me that good that I went home and just finished the rest of it. Like
Yeah.
the other 6 episodes, I just sat through and watched completely through from beginning to end. It was
Yeah.
the story was just perfectly done from beginning to end. All the characters, there was comedy in there. There was um, times when you felt sad. There was romance. There was like everything in it, and I absolutely loved it. The way that it ended was, I feel like it was really good. I do think that they'll do a second season. I mean, this is just the
Yeah.
start of the whole of the story of Aang, the Last Airbender.
Right.
Uh, the villains were really cool. I really liked the Fire Nation in this. I thought they were done, I think, the best out of all the nations, in my opinion. Even though I am obviously rooting for Aang and his friends and all them and the good guys, I really do think that the Fire Nation was probably the best done, in my opinion.
Yes.
The score, let me just say that the score in this movie, beautiful. Honestly, every single song played throughout this entire show was incredible.
Yeah.
I found myself listening to the score once I finished the show.
Yes.
I found myself listening to it a lot, which is a good thing, honestly.
For sure.
Where the fight scenes and the choreography, whoo, man,
Good
the
stuff, huh?
VFX of like the Fire Nations throwing their fire and the Water Nation throwing the water.
Nice.
The Earth Nation, like, picking up rocks and like slicing them. Like, yeah, it was just, it was all just so beautifully done. I loved it. I loved all of it. It was just overall, in my opinion, one of the best of the recent shows that have been released, in my opinion.
Fantastic.
And again, I honestly just can't wait to see what is in store for the second season
Awesome.
of the show, because I know it's just going to be some great stuff.
Cool. Yeah, all right. I have not seen the animated show
need
from
to.
beginning to end, but I know. I have enjoyed, though, very much what I've seen of the animated stuff. I think it's been pretty good. And Dave Filoni used to work on that show too, which is awesome. I know that this was a very special property to the fans of the animated show. I've talked to fans that have thought this was fine, and then I've talked to fans that have just really loved it. So, has it really ranged from bad to amazing? It's more so ranged from fine to amazing. So that's better than, it just getting god awful reviews, I guess, from the fans.
Yeah,
so,
true.
yeah, so I am looking forward to this, and a lot of the critics that saw it, I know that rated it were only sent like the first few episodes, so it probably wasn't much for them to go on. The ones that gave it some of the poorer reviews, I know that much. So, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it in its entirety and checking this out. And yeah, this is one I'll probably watch this before I watch Percy, to be honest with you. Just because,
No, I definitely do that.
yeah, just because it interests me more, I guess, the material of it, and I'm more interested. And I was around for the animated show somewhat, so I do understand. Yeah, so I do understand how important this and massive this was, and also I know that they had to redeem themselves from the M. Night Shyamalan directed film. So, which I love M. Night. I don't know what he was doing on that one. So,
I don't think no one does.
that was a weird time in the world. People say it's dark now, man. When that movie came out, Jeez, world was horrible. Anyway, so anyway, I'll let you go ahead and give it a grade. What'd you think of Avatar: The Last Airbender? Where do you grade it?
I would definitely give this a must watch for
Okay.
sure. This honestly, it ranks up right there for me in terms of like these kind of shows. It ranks up there for me in like probably like my top 15 most
Yeah.
likely,
Okay.
top 10 maybe even.
Awesome.
It's really good, honestly.
Cool. All right. Fantastic. Okay, awesome. So that is the review, and then everybody let us know what you thought of the show. Did you watch the show? Were you a fan of the original source material and all that? How did it rank for you? What was your rating of it? Or yeah, let us know in the comments below. Anything you want to say about it. So just be nice to everybody else, because I know that some people are like, fine on it, and that's okay. But yeah, all right. Look, we're going to continue on here. We do have some fun news topics today. I'm very excited to get into, and one of my favorites franchises, or I shouldn't even say that. One of the franchises that I think just like changed a lot for the movie game is Kick-Ass. When that first Kick-Ass came out, it
Mm,
was this sort of, we can do R-rated shit in superhero movies, and,
right.
and we can make it bloody and gory. And then it also kind of started this, it jump-started the gun fu genre in a big way, I think, at least in the States. So I think that was a big deal, too. And it also really, for me, like solidified Matthew Vaughn as just a great director in general. I think
Yeah, for sure.
it's the one that made me think, oh, this guy's like, he's original. He executes things in original ways. Even though I was a big fan of Wanted before that movie I loved as well. This was the one that really just made me fall in love with Matthew Vaughn and his style and his action, and I just thought the guy was great after this. And so exciting news, because we were all a lot of us fans were saddened by not having a Kick-Ass 3, but we do have some exciting news, and we're going to start with that. Collider exclusive here. They've been getting some great ones lately. Kick-Ass Reboot will be a part of a new trilogy. The trilogy will be School Fight, this movie, let's call it VRAM for the time being, and then Kick-Ass, and they are all connected. That's very fascinating. Let's take a look at this. Ask any Kick-Ass fan, they'll tell you that the 2 entries in the franchise were not nearly enough, and that there's certainly room for more. Fans also know that director Matthew Vaughn, also known for Kingsman film series, has been working on it for quite some time, but during an interview to promote Argyle, he provided Collider's Stephen Weintraub with a promising update for the next Kick-Ass installment. The first and most important question is, will it be Kick-Ass 3 or a reboot? Vaughn hinted at both possibilities while taking us previously, and was straightforward about what stage the project is in. He also revealed what kind of setting he's planning for the new Kick-Ass, and noted that the script is already pretty far along. That's very exciting. The new Kick-Ass will be the third in a different trilogy. That's very interesting. Vaughn didn't stop there either. He also decided to tell Collider that the new Kick-Ass will be the third entry of a trilogy that starts with School Fight, an action movie produced by him and helmed by stunt coordinator turned director Damian Walters. Vaughn stated the trilogy will be School Fight, this movie, let's call it VRAM for the short time being, and then Kick-Ass. And they are all connected. Some background. School Fight was already shot and is done, and VRAM is currently being filmed. In fact, Vaughn was wearing a jacket with the logo during the interview. When asked if the plan was to have all 3 films done before any of them were released, he told us. Let's see. All right. So anyway, that's pretty much the story. So I gotta say, I love every bit of this. I'm gonna tell you why. So Kick-Ass 2, I'm a fan, but didn't do well critically, honestly, and also a lot of people just didn't show up for it for whatever reason. And maybe it was the bad reviews. I don't know. I know that there was a lot of talk about piracy at that time. A lot of people pirated the film or something, and that was a big thing going on when Kick-Ass 2 came out as well. I'm a pretty big fan of the movie, and I'm very excited to give a bit of a fresh take to the franchise. I think going with the trilogy, where you're building up to this character, could be very cool. Now, the first one is called School Fight, so I'm assuming they're going to start this in high school, and we'll probably follow whoever the new Kick-Ass is going to be, and we're going to build him up to becoming the vigilante by the third movie. And I think that's pretty neat. I think that's a really, really neat way to go with this. It kind of reminds me of I don't know how to put it, but it almost kind of reminds me a little bit of what Matt Reeves is doing. I almost said Matthew Vaughn again, about what Matt Reeves is doing with the Batman, kind of starting him out in year 2, of the Batman with his trilogy, and just working his way to being the Batman by the end of the trilogy, presumably. So this is kind of what I really wanted to hear, is something, we're going to do something new with it, because you either do have to do a continuation of what was already there, or just something fresh. And I think that those are the only two options the fans would have went with. I do hope we see some of the old players. I hope Chloe Grace Moretz comes back as Hit Girl. I would love to see that. Just like, we can still connect it to the old movies, you know what I mean? But we're going to pass the torch along to a new high school kid to be Kick-Ass or something like that. That's kind of what I'm hoping they do, just so you have that mixture. So I don't know. Jose, I know you're kind of far into the Kick-Ass films, but what do you think of this take for it? Does this excite you as somebody who's like, okay, maybe this could be my introduction to the Kick-Ass franchise? But yeah, go ahead.
No, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I have seen the first one. I haven't seen the
Oh,
second one
okay,
yet.
okay, I gotcha.
Um, so yeah, no, I feel like, but it has been, I don't know how long since I've
Long
seen the
time.
first Kick-Ass. I would definitely have to watch. Yeah, I'd have to watch
Yeah.
it again because it's been way too long.
Right.
So as someone who hasn't seen the first one in a while and hasn't seen the second one, I feel like this, and for anyone who hasn't seen the first one, I feel like this could be, the perfect introduction for people wanting to get into this franchise. I'm definitely, that news article right there definitely excites me and gets me excited to, get more into this
Yeah.
franchise with Kick-Ass, because from what I can remember, they're just like such a good time. They're just funny.
Mm-hmm.
There's the gore, the rated R-ness of it all. It's just, it's almost like older version of Deadpool in a sense.
Yeah.
Which
No,
absolutely
for sure.
love. And yeah, it definitely excites me.
Yeah, I don't think Deadpool happens if Kick-Ass doesn't. The first
Oh
one
no,
at least,
yeah,
because
definitely not. Yeah,
you need that to happen first, so they can feel like, okay, we can do R-rated stuff in the
exactly.
comic book genre. And I definitely, pardon me, I feel like bouncing off what you said a little bit more is like, yeah, but connect it back to the old ones too, because that way
Exactly.
you're not only bringing in a new fan base to this, but it's going to make them want to go back and watch the other ones as well, which is why I think you should at least bring Chloe Grace Moretz. I mean, she is the fan favorite as Hit Girl back into the franchise. I don't think you'll get Aaron Taylor Johnson to play this role again, but I think if you got Chloe Grace Moretz to come back as Hit Girl and pass that torch to a new Kick-Ass and train a new Kick-Ass, I think that could be very, very neat. And well, let's be honest, she's not the most busy person in Hollywood right now. I don't think she'd be the hardest person to get signed on, as opposed to Aaron Taylor Johnson's got a lot going on, So I do think you could get like somebody like a Chloe Grace Moretz. I'm not asking much here, I just want my favorite character back. That's all. With the actress back in the role, passing on the torch to a new Kick-Ass. But maybe it's a pipe dream. But I love the story again. I can't wait to see the fresh take on this. And while they did mention Matthew Vaughn's not going to be directing the first film, I do hope he directs the final entry and the Kick-Ass movie, because I do think that was one of the missteps they made with Kick-Ass 2, is Matthew Vaughn not directing the second movie. He was Jeff Wildlow, and I think critics just didn't enjoy the style that Wildlow brought to it as much. I did. I liked it. I had fun with it, but I don't think the critics really enjoyed it as much. So, have Matthew Vaughn direct the third and final entry in this, I think, and have him do another Kick-Ass movie the way that we, like to have it seen. So, I do find it interesting that he's wanting to seemingly connect all of his properties together. Maybe somehow the Kingsman will be incorporated into this as well. We should find out.
You might as well put Argyle
in there. And those are already connected apparently somehow. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll figure all of that out once it comes to fruition. It does sound like we're a little bit of ways off, but we'll see. I'm very excited. At least there's something in the works finally, and that we do have an exciting update for this franchise and something concrete. Finally, it's always been Vaughn's only been kind of teasing that he wanted to do more Kick-Ass and that he wanted it to be fresh, but at the same time, I'm super excited for what he's got in store here. And again, away from the spy stuff, thank you. I want him to get back into the stuff he's the best at, which I do feel like is more of the superhero genre or the gun fu genre a little bit more, and I really enjoy that. All right, guys, awesome. So let us know what you think of that news. And there went my figures; they fell again. We're just gonna keep them down for the rest of the show. So that's lovely. All right, this next story is really interesting. Kind of an old one, but we did miss it because we missed a show for a week there. So I wanted to still talk about this. And wasn't really sure what was going to happen after the Jonathan Majors stuff, right? I don't want to talk about the drama or the controversy itself, but we weren't really sure what was going to happen with the MCU after that, right? We had ideas and theories, and I think our theories, for the most part, are pretty much correct. This actually comes from Game Rant. New Avengers 5 update may confirm plans for Kang after Jonathan Majors' exit. With Avengers 5 seemingly losing Jonathan Majors as Kang as its big bad in the wake of the series controversy, a recent update might give fans an insight into what comes next concerning the vacant spot opposite the world's mightiest heroes. Avengers: The Kang Dynasty was set to finally pit the MCU's finest against the Majors' recently debuted antagonist. That plan was until Majors was found guilty of assault and harassment relating to a former romantic partner after months of speculating and silence from Disney following the initial accusations. Since then, fans have been eagerly discussing how the Marvel Studios might proceed from here. Excuse me, while Deadpool 3 is the MCU's only 2024 theatrical release, that hasn't stopped the studio execs and insiders from deliberating on the best move to take next, and now fans know what they're thinking. Thanks to a report from The Hollywood Reporter, it's seemingly evident that the MCU will move forward without Kang the Conqueror occupying any significant role in the franchise. Excuse me, the report centered on Marvel Studios' entire strategy, pushing on and dedicated a good swath of its length to the major situation, confirming what Marvel Studios has in store for the Kang for the next Avengers movie. Per THR, the next Avengers movies will either drop Kang entirely or minimize his role, with the fifth film, The Kang Dynasty, receiving a title change to remove the character's name. Reportedly, plans to scale back Kang's role were set in motion after Ant-Man 3 underperformed. All right, listen, I buy all of this, 100%. I do think that they were probably looking to get out of the Kang business prior to the Jonathan Majors controversy. I mean, we all, again, while Kang was probably the best part of the Ant-Man franchise, or the Ant-Man movie, I should say, not the franchise, I'm sorry, the Ant-Man and the Quantumania movie, definitely, I came out of that. I was like, Kang was the best part of it, but I do think that the movie underperforming is a significant, how should I put it? Well, you got to make the movie good. I think it's a significant indicator that, maybe putting Kang in the marketing isn't what's going to get the people in the theater. You know what I mean? While you and I, in our circles, we might have been excited about Kang, I don't know that the masses were. And so that is, I think this was smart. I really do. I think it's like, okay, we got our out in Loki. Our TVA, they're just going to go get all the variants. We're going to collect them all. And here we are. No more Kang. We're going to call this. I really just wish they split Secret Wars into two parts. And they might now, because the two-parter thing has proven to be pretty smart at this moment. We'll talk about that in the story here in a little bit. But anyway, Jose, I do want to ask you your take on them changing the title from Kang Dynasty, kind of removing Kang completely, and what you think of all this.
I think it's smart. Like you said, even previous to the accusations, or well, actually the proof. Um, I think it was smart. I think it was smart to just not move forward with King altogether, because when you think of Big Bad,
Yeah.
you think of a character that fans, even not just fans, but the masses are gonna love. And when you think about that, look at Thanos. Like the masses loved him from the first time he appeared, and then he became a big bad, and everyone just absolutely fell in love with him, and they were able to market him to be the big bad for the two big Avengers movies, Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, because Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania came out, it was like you said. I think that Paul Rudd and Jonathan Majors were standouts in that movie.
For sure, they were.
Regardless, the movie didn't do well.
Yeah, it didn't get the masses.
So,
yeah,
exactly. They didn't get the masses, so you can't really market Kang to be a big bad, because the masses aren't gonna want to see that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, I do think that it was. Which, don't get me wrong, I think Kang was amazing in Loki, though.
Yeah, me
That
too.
just wasn't the same. It wasn't really the same Kang. You know, it was a different.
No, no.
You know, there's different variants. So, I also do think that it was smart that in the Loki season 2, they got rid of Kang in that way, because now it's like, okay, yeah, so now you know that Kang's not going to be the
Right,
big bad in these Avengers movies, because they're going for every variant and just
right.
absolutely wiping all of them away. So that was a very smart way of getting rid of Kang and saying to the masses, look, we're not going to be using Kang as the big bad. We're going to just change the title and incorporate a whole new big bad for these future movies.
Hmm.
Which I have my speculations, but we'll just leave that as that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. And I think I'm sure Kevin Feige watched Ant-Man. What is it even called? Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, right? Like in post production after it was all done, he knew it wasn't good, right?
Oh
Like
yeah,
he,
hundred
he he
percent.
had to have known it. He's a fan of this stuff just as much as we are, and I guarantee he knew it wasn't good, and he knew it wasn't going to get the people in there. And then, like he said, I think he brought up a very good point about Loki. You know what I mean? I think to the masses, Kang is very self-contained within Loki, and they don't really care about him otherwise, right?
Hmm.
Because Loki's the big thing. That's the one that's appealed to the public more than anything else.
Exactly.
And so I think to the audiences, they were like, "Oh, cool, they're putting him in Ant-Man, but it's not enough to get me to go see this movie,
Yeah, he was
right?"
kind of just he was a side villain
Yeah,
in
100%.
this MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't build to him either. They know that, right? Like
Yeah.
like and
No.
and Kevin Feige knows that, right? Because they had to put this huge we already know about the demands of Chapek, and they had to put this huge like influx of projects out there, right? Against their will essentially. And they didn't have the chance to build this character the way that they probably would have wanted to when, coming up with the idea of the King Dynasty. And so yeah, they had to course correct everything. It's not just, the King Dynasty. It's everything. Everything's being reworked right now, and I think that this is not going to be the last title change we hear about or the last project we hear about being
Oh,
scrapped.
definitely not.
I think there's going to be a lot more of this coming down the road, and we've already heard about rewrites and writers getting let go and replaced and things of that nature to try to fix this thing as best as they can. We need to get the MCU back to what it was. We need the magic back. I don't blame Kevin Feige for
Especially now that Iger's back.
yeah, 100%. And I don't blame Feige at all and Iger are working together to try to fix this. And with the powers that be, the powers of Iger, he's like, yeah, what the hell? Marvel was my greatest thing, and then this Chapek comes in and
Yeah,
it all
look
gets
what
screwed up.
paycheck. Sorry, no paycheck.
Yeah, Paycheck comes in and screws it all up. He screws up our biggest thing, and yeah, so I'm glad that Kevin Feige is back at the helm of creative control and actually fixing this up and getting us back to where we want to be with the MCU. I think Deadpool and Wolverine has a lot riding on his shoulders right now. That's the
Oh
best thing
yeah,
I could say. That
100%.
responsibility that movie has is major. So
Especially with the scale that they're wanting to go with that movie.
yeah,
Yeah, it has a lot on its on its
lots.
shoulders for
Yeah,
sure.
it needs to be good first of all. That's just like first and foremost. It needs to get people in the theater second of all, which it will. I think that part of it's good. But yeah, it needs to be good and
Yeah.
get people going back over and over again. Just like another movie that we're going to talk about here in a minute. So yeah, very excited. So we don't talk about. Here's the thing, guys. We don't talk about box office a whole lot on the show. Like we don't sit there and do the breakdowns and the predictions every week, and like a lot of other shows do. But when something comes out and makes waves, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, we do want to celebrate that and talk about it. If it is something that's just a massive, whether I like the movie or not, I want to talk about and celebrate something that definitely appealed to the masses and is kind of making waves and doing great things right now. Which brings us to this story here, which is Dune 2 box office 5 takeaways from the sequel's heroic opening weekend. And this came from Variety. I did want to kind of talk about a little bit of this. All right, so let's read through this. All right, not even the prophetic visions of Timothy Chalamet's Paul Atreides, the messianic, I don't know, protagonist Dune could have predicted the commercial appeal of director Denis Villeneuve's ambitious interplanetary epics. After all, when the long in the works adaptation finally gained momentum in 2017, it was superheroes, not cerebral stories, that ruled the box office. Dune, in particular, was notoriously difficult to translate to cinema, as Hollywood learned from director David Lynch's disastrous 1984 version. It was it wasn't just sci-fi fans but general audiences too, who helped Dune Part 2 ride those massive sandworms to the top of the box office charts. The big budget sequel has collected a bigger than expected 82.5 million in the North
Wow.
America and 182.5 million globally in its first weekend of
Wow.
release. It landed the biggest domestic opening of the year while helping to revive barren box office. Initial ticket sales for the follow-up have far exceeded the original 2021's Dune, which opened to 41 million while landing simultaneously on HBO Max, which is why it didn't make nearly as much money. It ended its theatrical run with 433 million worldwide, an impressive result for that box office. Experts nonetheless felt would have bigger with an
Hmm.
exclusive
For sure.
theatrical release. Yeah, it would have definitely been bigger. Doubling the
Yeah,
previous
100%.
Doubling the previous film's box office debut, even when considering a hybrid release, is no small feat for a sequel in a genre that often has a tough barrier to entry, says Sean Robbins, the chief analyst of Box Office Pro. Goodwill for the prior movie and the ability of its stars to promote the film helped bring out more than just diehard fans this time around. That's correct. Dune Part 2, co-produced and co-financed by Warner Brothers and Legendary Entertainment, cost 190 million to produce and roughly 100 million more to promote the two global audiences. It requires box office staying power, which analysts believe it's primed to have to justify those hefty price tags. All right, here are 5 takeaways from the mighty box office debut. I just really want to read the bullet points here. A prophetic delay. Power of IMAX. All hail Timothy Chalamet and Denis Villeneuve. How much can the Dune franchise expand? And also more movies, please. I agree with all of these takeaways. I think that this is a very smart and very well written article. This is unbelievable. We already talked about our thoughts on the movie, so you can take that out of it. Take the thoughts away. We both love it. We both think it's one of the greatest films ever made, I think. 100%. So you can take that right out of it and still come away with how impressive this is. They're not wrong when they're talking about how hard this was to do. I mean, you're looking at the 1984 version of Dune. It's not a good movie. I love David Lynch. I think he's a great director. That movie sucks. It's not good. I tried to watch it again after watching Dune Part 2. You can't go back to that movie after seeing what Denis did here. So it's already got that against it. Yes, the source material has got an audience. It's got a cult following. But they tried this once and the audience already has lost faith because, like I said, A, it's a tough book to adapt. Everybody knows that. And then B, one of the greatest directors of all time couldn't do it. So you have you have that issue just already riding for this thing, and then it comes out, and then COVID, right? So COVID hits when the first one comes out, and it's like it gets pushed back, and then you have to have the day and date, which pissed off Legendary for their financial partners, by the way. So of course they were going to have to give them a sequel, regardless of how this did. But still, 481. It's a modest 481 or whatever that first one made. It's still pretty good for having it on day and date, so they knew. Like, look, Warner Brothers, you can say what you want about them. They were very smart to green light, too. They knew they had to green light, too. And they were like, you know what? We did the day and date, David Zaslav, cooler heads prevailed. They were like, you know what? That was our F up. This movie could have made more money had we not done day and date and done the exclusive run. And boy, were they right. Dune Part 2, without, take away the fact it's one of the greatest movies ever made, which that's definitely a factor. A lot of people are
Oh,
agreeing on
100%.
that. But I'm saying, like, the fact that it comes out and amidst a writer's strike, which causes another delay, Doom Messiah is going to come out and the zombie apocalypse is going to happen. I'm convinced something has to happen that's going to delay it, But this is like, I mean,
It's the Dune curse. It's the
yeah,
Dune curse. That's what it
there's a
is.
cursing around Dune. There's no doubt about it. Both of these things got pushed because of some catastrophic event, right? That was very catastrophic to either the world or just Hollywood in general. So, yeah, man, I'm telling you. But there is no denying the power of storytelling. Like, it really makes me happy as a film fan because
Oh,
it really is the power of storytelling taking over. What do you take away from the box office results, Jose, and what's to blame for its success here?
my opinions. I mean, look, it's already at 189 million worldwide,
Yeah,
and this movie's been out for what, 4 days?
right.
Like, Yeah, crazy in 4 days to make almost 200 million already, which is
Yeah.
almost half of what the first one made.
Yeah.
Overall, still to this day, is absolutely crazy. I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
one factor obviously is the fact that Dune Part One did the day to day
Yeah.
and would have made probably close to a billion if released exclusively.
Mhm.
Um, in my opinion, um, and yeah, I think what's helping this movie in the box office obviously is that it's the greatest movie probably ever made.
Yeah.
Um, like you said, the storytelling. I mean, that's just the power of cinema in general. Storytelling, cinematography, sound, like everything that is put into a movie
Yeah.
has helped this Dune 2 in the box office boom the way that, and honestly revived the box office.
Yeah.
Um, for the first time in probably the last like 10 years or so, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. Um, yeah, no, I mean, and the fact that internationally too is making the money that it is just goes to show that it's not just here in the U.S. It's all around the world. Everyone's seeing this and they're all agreeing with everyone that this is like the most beautiful cinematic movie that they've seen in a
Yeah.
very very long time.
Yeah.
Um, and everything that Denis Villeneuve and everyone that worked on this movie did that just goes to show how
Yeah.
fantastic they are, how great they are at doing what they're doing, and how they were able to put together this cinematic masterpiece that has touched every single person worldwide.
Yeah. It's such a I don't even want to say like anomaly, but it's one of those things that because they're not wrong. Like when the first Dune movie came out, the big thing was the comic book film, and we've just seen this like weird transition like over the past couple of years of like I think people want great stories. You know what I mean? And that's what comic book movies used to do for us. You know, they used to give us great stories on top of the spectacle of it, and they just haven't been delivering on that. So
Yeah,
everybody's
now it's just more spectacle versus story.
so everybody, the masses included, are they're looking for this thing, and essentially what you have with the Dune movies are big budget art house films. Like they're just they're artsy movies, but with major budgets, and it does show
And
with the power of the marketing behind it, and because you do have the star-studded cast, right, and they have been able to promote it much better than they were able to with COVID for the first one, and get together in one room. You see the camaraderie when you see them in one room rather than all being on a Zoom call somewhere. You know what I mean? Trying to sell their movie. In the first one, that's a factor. You got to take that in consideration because this movie has the biggest stars right now. It's like I said in the spoiler review. It's
oh
all the
yeah,
people in the
100%.
magazines, right? So you have
Yeah,
the
100%.
star-studded cast. And then it's a movie that also shows the best of the best of this cast, right? Like this shows everybody's best talents. Like it shows off everybody's best talents and shows everything they can do as actors, and really shows that again they're not just the people on the magazines. These are top tier talents. Uh, I think that's got a huge appeal
Yeah,
for the
they're not
audiences.
just they're not just beautiful faces. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? They're actual like
yeah,
talents. They like you said they're the poster talent of Hollywood.
yeah,
Like these are like you said the best of the best. The ones that are just getting role after role after role after role. And it's not just because they're famous, it's because they're so freaking good at what they do that every single company wants to hire these people to have a role in their movies
for sure.
because of how star-studded they are.
I agree.
And you're right, like you said, the other factor, in terms of marketing versus Dune 1 and Dune 2 is that Dune 1, because it was during COVID,
Yeah,
everyone was on Zoom, so it doesn't feel as authentic as when everyone is in the same room. When you're on Zoom, it just feels weird,
yeah,
speaking to a camera. You're not speaking to human beings, you're
yeah.
speaking to a camera.
Right.
So it just doesn't feel as authentic and
Yeah,
as personal
yeah,
as if you were in person.
yeah.
So you're not wrong there that that is definitely a factor in terms of how the marketing was done. And the other thing I wanted to say, piggybacking off of marketing, is that, or when you were talking about like big budgets, this goes to show how you can have like a huge budget but still just crush the box office. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like you could spend any amount of money, whether it's 1 million or 300 million,
yeah,
doesn't matter as long as you make a story that a movie that has an amazing story, that everything in it is perfect, it's a masterpiece, and you market it till you're underground, then you can just box office that thing to infinity and beyond.
yeah,
Like this is the perfect example of a huge budgeted film that when marketed correctly and perfectly can just take over the box office. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that it's already made 200 million in just 4 days is absolutely, and that's basically what Variety said is how much they, everything cost for the budget with, in terms of the marketing and the budget, everything together was like 200 million. So the fact that they've basically already broken even just in 4 days is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
It just goes to show how perfect and incredible everything was. Everything was executed perfectly.
Yeah.
In this movie, and this has to be an example for every single company moving forward.
Right, 100%. And I would also like to add, I mean, between Barbie, Oppenheimer, and now Dune 2, I mean, not that this has hit the billion yet like those have, but between the three movies being as major successes as they are, audiences are getting smarter and studios need to start paying attention. Like, I'm not trying to undermine how hard it is.
Aren't those all?
What?
Aren't those all Warner Bros as well?
Yeah.
Aren't all three of those Warner
Yeah.
Bros? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Warner Bros is doing they're doing it right now. Warner Bros knows what they're doing.
I'm telling you, man,
That is-
and people can get as upset as they want as Zaslav for cutting whatever projects, but maybe he had a point. I'm just saying. I mean, because ever since he's taken over,
honestly, after those three,
yeah.
No, after those three, whatever he cut.
Oh,
honestly,
I'm sorry.
I don't care what they were, even if.
Okay. Oh, hold on though. Oppenheimer was not Warner Brothers. I forgot Nolan and Warner Brothers kind of split up after the whole Tenet thing. He got pissed about that. But yeah, all right. Sorry. So okay, 2 though. Still,
Barbie
you're still
and
looking
Dune
at 2,
2.
right? And
Yeah.
both of which have been movies that are earlier in the year, and both are Oscar contenders, which is really impressive as well. So I mean, we're still looking at a company that is realizing great storytelling prevails at the end of the day, and I think audiences are getting smarter. Studios
That's
need
the
to
other
pay
thing.
attention.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I wanted to piggyback off of when you said that, like, people are. That's one thing that I have especially looked at watching in the theaters more is movies with great stories. Like,
Yeah.
as much as I love, the superhero movies, with the MCU and DC stuff like that. As much as I, loved those, they're just cinematically and story wise just not the ones right now. It's just not. I've kind of just grown tired of them.
Yeah.
The newer versions, not obviously the older ones
Right,
before
right.
Disney took over. Some of like the new stuff that they've done,
Yeah.
just isn't really what people want to watch. Everyone wants an amazing story.
Yeah.
You can still have spectacles, but as long as most of it is story and you add spectacles here
Yeah.
and there, like with Dune 2, you have the spectacle of Paul Atreides riding a damn sandworm, for Christ's sake, the biggest of all
Yeah.
of them. I mean, like you have spectacles, but as long as you have, for the most part,
Yeah.
of the movie, amazing story, then yeah, I'm gonna absolutely love it. Like I'm story over spectacle for me, honestly. That's just the
Right.
kind of person I am, especially since I'm studying film. That's kind of like what I've been more interested in. So like, yeah, all these movies that have been coming out that have been story over spectacle have
Yeah.
just been absolutely crushing it in the theaters right now. All these like indie company films that have come out with all these like story based movies have just been
Yeah.
incredible. They may not do as well in the box office as superhero films, obviously, because MCU is always going to have like
Yeah.
big box office films. But just to me, my personal opinion, they just are levels above any superhero film right now that's coming out.
But what Dune 2 just proved is that they could if these big studios
yeah,
start
yeah,
if these
exactly.
big studios start backing these scripts, you know what I mean? They have these great
Exactly.
ideas because honestly, okay, you're a family with 3 children, right? After you're done with your tickets, your popcorn and everything, that's about $100 right there. Why is somebody going to go pay for the Marvels back in November, that everybody's coming out and saying, "You know what? It was fun, but honestly, like I've seen it a
You don't need
billion
to watch.
times before."
Catch
it on streaming.
Just wait till it comes out on Disney Plus.
And
Yeah,
plus,
exactly.
they've been conditioned that these things are going to come out in Disney Plus after 45 days anyway. Or are they going to go see Dune 2 that
And also-
everybody's coming out and saying is one of the greatest films of all time? You know what I'm saying? This is my point,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and the other thing too is that they've made it so much easier to prefer to watch movies at home versus in theaters. Now that IMAX Enhanced has now been added to all these streaming
Right.
services.
Right.
So like all these,
Which is great, by the way.
big-
I don't
all
want
these
that to
big-
go away.
Obviously, no. I'm just saying
Make
that
more
that's what
movies
hurts
IMAX
these-
enhanced at home, but go ahead. Yeah.
That's what hurts these.
Mm-hmm.
There's pros and cons. The cons to this IMAX Enhanced being added to these streaming services, that the movies that people are coming out and saying, oh, it was all right, but you can just wait till it comes
Yeah.
out. Those people are not going to go out to the theaters to watch it. They'd rather just watch it on IMAX Enhanced at home versus watching it in
100%.
IMAX in theaters because
Yeah.
it's a lot cheaper because you don't have to spend money, like you said, on popcorn, drinks, candy for you, your wife, and
3
however
kids.
many kids you have.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So
$100 easily, right there.
it's exactly it's there's good and bad to
Yeah.
obviously this. I mean, I love the IMAX and obviously because I can watch it in theaters in IMAX, and then when I come home when it's
Yeah.
on streaming services, I can watch it again in IMAX.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just saying that the con is a pretty heavy con in terms of these superhero films that are not as good that people are coming out saying I just wait for streaming. They can they'll just save money and watch it at home. So yeah.
There's another thing, and this is the reason Dune's going to keep building up too. There's another thing that comes with this. Once you hit that great opening weekend, immediately audiences go, wait a minute. When they do really well, they don't come out on streaming right away. We're usually waiting a little while, so we got to go see it. That's the other thing.
Yeah, thing is like when they do incredibly well in box offices in the opening weekend, like this one has had, and I know because I've worked at AMC, they'll keep them even longer than expected in the theaters because they just want to make more money. This is all a money business.
Yeah.
So as long as movies are doing, because when Barbie came out, that thing was doing insanely in the box office.
Right.
That thing stayed in theaters for months and months before it came to HBO Max. So the same thing is going to be happening here with Dune. Dune's going to be in the theaters for like 3-4 months before it comes on a streaming. So yeah, honestly, guys, if you haven't seen it, or even if you have seen it, honestly, just go and watch it like 4 or 5 times in the theaters, because honestly, it's just I'm about to go watch it probably like 2 or 3 more times in theaters, maybe even 4, who knows? Because it's just that damn good. Like, honestly, it's just a cinematic masterpiece. And honestly, don't take our words for it. Just go and watch it for yourself, and you'll know what we're talking about.
Take everybody else's word, honestly, because there's not a lot of people coming out of this disappointed. Like, I mean, let's be real. Definitely not. Few and far between. And I mean, one other point I want to make too, just one other quick example of I mean, look at Godzilla -1. It does a re-release and does well, right? So the stories are like I said, great storytelling is prevailing here. It's taking over, and I think I love to hear it
with spectacle as well, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to continue the Dune 2 conversation, but I wanted to kind of bleed into our next segment here, which is always our final segment of the show. Very excited to talk about this. And yes, he predicted it. It's Sup with Star Wars. So let's talk about this. So while it's not a Star Wars thing per se, it has had huge inspiration on Star Wars, and that is Dune, which is all the talk right now in the movie theaters, guys, and it's all the talk in the box office. So I do want to talk about the effects that maybe Dune might have on Star Wars after this big success, because we were already kind of talking about in our earlier segments about, great storytelling has prevailed, and studios need to start paying attention. Here's the thing. Star Wars movies are coming out, and they're getting rated PG-13. Dune is a PG-13 film. It is, anybody can go see it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying the kids would love it as much as the adults, but here's the thing. The adults are going to pay to take their kids to Dune because of how great it's supposed to be. And they're going to want their kids to experience this moment, this event, the same way that they wanted their kids to experience the Phantom Menace when they were, when that was coming out, and the same way that people wanted their kids to experience A New Hope. Listen, I am not saying that you need to make Star Wars movies as dark as Dune or something, but you do need to start paying attention to these great stories. And I know Disney's on this thing. It's like, it's got to be family fare. It's got to be family fare. A New Hope is family fare. Darth Vader's a scary mofo. Phantom Menace is family fare, and Darth Maul is a scary mofo. You got to have it in there for everybody, is my point. And I look at a villain in Dune like Fade Rautha, who's terrifying. That doesn't mean that kids can't watch it. I think
honestly, he's probably the darkest and most scariest that I've seen like forever, because that dude is so psychotic. I swear. And that was one thing that I did want to say about Dune is I loved the black and white they used. Yeah. Oh my goodness, man. Amazing. They used that black and white perfectly. Honestly, it was great.
Amazing. And I do think that because of the success of Dune, Star Wars does need to look at what I don't want Star Wars to do is say, Dune was great. Let's make every Star Wars project having to do with sand. Now, that's the last thing I want. Because they tried that.
In the words of Anakin Skywalker.
Stop that. Don't do that. What I want them to do is pay attention and be like, you know what? We can start talking to some of these better storytellers. We need to look at pitches that just we have to worry about the family fare thing later. Let's just take the best pitch that we get and make it. And then we'll cut it down to a PG-13 setting, if we need to, whatever we got to do. but let's just make the best story possible, you know. And I think that I'm hoping beyond all hope that Dune 2 is going to make that happen. Not that, again, we had Andor, you know, and I think I was pretty thrilled with that. You know, Andor happened. You know, I don't understand. I know that it's harder to gauge because it's not a box office ordeal, but my point is like you can make great stories within the Star Wars universe, and Dune being one of the biggest things that uh, inspired George in the first place to write Star Wars. I don't know why they should be looking at this more than any of the other studios right off the bat. Lucasfilm should be looking at Dune right out the bat and saying, okay, what can we do to be on par with Dune? Because this is what audiences want from their sci-fi fantasy. You know what I'm saying? And again, it doesn't have to be as dark as Dune. It doesn't. It really doesn't. My point is go to the best story possible. I don't know, Jose. What kind of effects do you think Dune might have on Star Wars? Hopefully in a positive way.
Well, I mean, one thing I think Disney needs to do is just scrap the whole family affair thing. Honestly, at this point, it's just getting long.
Yeah.
And even if they don't want to, I feel like they can become a company that can be essentially two companies in one. It could still be Disney, but it can have one side which is family fare, and then another side that is for more of the adult audiences. Because that's how they lose. Honestly, I would say a majority of their audience members is being too family fare when a movie doesn't warrant it. I mean, you look at Thor: Love and Thunder with the whole Gore the God Butcher. They made it too family fare. You look at there's a bunch of examples. I mean, you just look. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the MCU movies that they've made a little too family fare have just not worked out, and they've just lost so many audience members. So I feel like that's one thing that they might not need to lose it completely. Like they could keep it for like their Disney classic stuff that they want to do live action and stuff like that. But for these two franchises that you've taken over, that fans have loved so much because they were still technically family fare, but there were still like scary aspects to it and worked for what they did. For these two franchises, maybe just drop the family fare, honestly, because at this point, if you just keep on with this, you're just gonna be. You might even just lose all the fans for these franchises altogether and just lose on so much money.
Yeah.
So, I do think Dune is gonna have a positive impact on Star Wars in terms of seeing how perfect this story was, how incredibly well it was executed, and it'll like hit them like, whoa, okay, we need to start looking at like some of these writers who have incredible written stories and go with that. And then if we need to make it a little more friendly fare, we can. But I feel like honestly, if it's a perfect story, just don't even mess with it, man. Like I said, just split the family fare. Keep all your Disney classic stuff family fare, and then for MCU and Star Wars, just drop the whole family fare thing, man. Because you don't honestly at this point, you don't need it because this is getting long at this point right now, honestly. Because the amount of people that I've heard that have boycotted Disney because of how crap all these Star Wars and MCU projects are because you're making them too family fare. Like the amount of my film friends in my classes. In all of my Georgia State classes, who have told me that they're boycotting Disney, like not having Disney Plus anymore, not even going and watching. I think the last MCU film that my friends in my film classes have gone and watched was Endgame.
Right.
I'm like, bro, do you know how many MCU projects have come out since?
I was gonna say, to be fair to the MCU, I mean they've at least done like Killmonger and Thanos, and they've had their darker spots for sure.
That's what I mean. That's what I said. The Endgame was like the last time that they had seen. And then with Star Wars, I think the last project they had seen was like the trilogy movies. I think that was the last thing they ever saw from Star Wars. So like I'm like the amount of shows and stuff that have come out since, like that's what I mean. Like I think they just need to drop this family fare thing and actually just go for like incredibly written projects that are actually gonna bring their fans and the masses back to what made them fall in love with these two franchises in the first place.
Yeah, and I get like people are like, okay, well, Filoni's had a creative now, so he's not going to do something like Dune. It's like, guys, Filoni's a fan of Dune. Look at the Thrawn episode in Ahsoka. Filoni likes Dune, no doubt about it. You could tell from the influences. I mean, it's there, and at least we do have Thrawn and the Night Sisters and zombie stormtroopers. I'm happy that all that was at least brought in for Ahsoka and all that. And then on top of that, we have Andor, which again are the two best projects that they've done, and they're darker. You know what I mean? They're darker. Adults can enjoy them. Maybe again with Andor not as much as the kids, but the kids can still enjoy them. And part of the thing I remember about Star Wars and the reason it stood the test of time is because I remember how scary Darth Vader was to me as a kid. I remember how scary Darth Maul was to me as a kid. You know what
Oh
I'm
no,
saying?
same.
Like
Yeah,
that's
no,
part
for
of the
sure.
effect.
Yeah.
Like I think that they had this mentality over there that like, oh, we're gonna scare children. Great. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you know who scared me too?
It's
General Grievous scared me too.
right.
That robot dude with like 6 arms, like,
Right, 100%.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, it's like great, scare them. You know what I mean? It's about how much you scare them. You know what I mean? Like, don't go, showing like heads like literally getting chopped off with all the blood and gore. But you can have people who are scary looking and scary in demeanor and scary in attitude, like a Fade Routha. You know what I'm saying? That's my point more or less. You know what I mean? And kids will still enjoy it. I promise you, tons of children were in there to see The Dark Knight when that came out. Right? I mean, talking about Warner Brothers,
right.
right? Like, I guarantee you tons of families took their children to see that movie, and the Joker is freaking terrifying in that movie. Like,
Facts.
you can still do it in a PG-13 context. I'm not saying Star Wars should go R-rated. I wouldn't want it to. It'd be weird, but unless it's like a Vader film.
Yeah, no,
then maybe
and I
you can do
wasn't,
that, but
and I wasn't. I was gonna say
yeah,
I wasn't. That wasn't
yeah,
what I was saying. I was just saying
yeah,
drop the family fair stuff. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
just keep it.
Just make a
You know,
great
because
story.
like okay, look, kids have been scared from movies from. Well, and that's the thing too is that these franchises were part of Disney at the time.
Yeah,
But kids have been scared from stuff
yeah,
since the beginning of time. So
yeah.
like just because just Disney, just because you've taken over the MCU
Right.
stars doesn't mean that you need to take away what
Yeah,
the fans love so much about the two franchises.
yeah.
So yeah, no, for sure. I mean, yeah, I remember being scared of when I was a kid out of like basically I was scared shitless about Emperor Palpatine as well when I was a kid. I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that. He
Palpatine's
used
another
to
great example. Yeah.
terrify me.
When I first saw him in Return of
to
the
the
Jedi, oh
core.
my god, yeah, it's like, yeah. And all of that
Yeah,
is done
exactly.
in a PG-13 setting, and then
Exactly.
you could still
Exactly.
do it. The Batman was a PG-13 movie, and it feels like something that would have been R-rated, right? Like you're looking at these movies, and it's like, and they're already PG-13. I don't see why not take the extra step and just go darker with them, and
Right.
just make it work. And I'm hoping Dune is a statement to that. Like I hope Dune is making them pay attention, and they're like, man, this was George's
Well, I feel like
biggest
with this,
influence, you know?
I feel like with Deadpool 3 being R-rated, I feel like this is like Disney's way of saying
We're starting
kind
to
of
get
dropping
there,
the
yeah.
we're starting to drop the family fare, yeah,
A little
and
bit.
actually, becoming a
Yeah.
little, bringing these franchises back to what what they were and what the fans grew up loving. I do feel like this Deadpool 3 movie is kind of like them showing like they're starting to
Yeah.
to move back in that direction because I feel like the reason why they became so family fair is because I mean if you really think about it, it was when Bob Paycheck was
That's
was
true,
there,
yeah.
and now that Iger's back, it seems like everything's kind of just taking that 180 back to
Yeah.
what it used to be. So no, I'm definitely glad that it seems like they're trying to get back into what it used to be.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely am hoping that this is a good sign. I'm hoping the Dune's
Yeah.
success is a good sign, and I do think that
Yeah.
again, more than anybody, Star Wars needs to be looking at this because
I think Bob Iger saw. I think Bob Iger saw that. He's thinking, all right, both of these franchises,
Yeah.
Star Wars and Marvel. All right, y'all are gonna like look at these and be like, yeah, this is what we need to like strive for.
Yeah.
Just like perfectly executed stories for our projects.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity. This is like my favorite ever quote.
Yeah.
Quantity over quality.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. You also know who's a big Star Wars fan? Denis Villeneuve, Christopher Nolan.
I mean,
Disney has the money
yep.
to hire these guys. Why not get them on and make you know what I'm saying? Like they are massive Star Wars fans. They would love the
it
chance
honestly
to-
baffles me.
Yeah.
Like, it baffles me that they haven't been hired yet for any Disney, like any Star Wars or MCU projects at this
Yeah.
point. Like, it actually it's baffled me.
They would love a crack at it, man, and they would make some of the best Star Wars we'd see.
Oh, I bet you after
those two.
I bet you after this after Dune I bet you after Dune Messiah, Disney's gonna be calling up Denis Villeneuve.
I was gonna say it'd be dumb if they didn't call him.
bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
True.
mean, come on, at least call
I bet
him.
you did. I bet you. I was gonna say, I bet you after Dune 2, Disney was like, Bob Iger was like, "Hey, yo,
Yeah.
Denis, how what'd you say after Dune Messiah? You come and do a Star Wars project? Denis will take the first flight
Yeah.
over there, and be like, yeah, let me sign this contract real
Well,
quick."
he's at least going to want to know. Like, I think the first thing they're going to do is they're going to talk to him. I mean, we heard a story about Nolan wanting to do Bond, but he wanted to do it his way, and they said no. It's like, why wouldn't you let him do it his way? Man, he's one of the best Nolan. And the same with Denis, man. Denis, give him the control, man. Let him do it. Like just let him
Please,
do it.
please.
As long as he agrees to do it within the PG-13 setting, let him do it.
I already know that him and Dave would be like the best of partners
I think so.
in
Yeah,
doing it in
yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I genuinely think so. Like, I think, like, and Dave is about the kids in the sense that, like, don't forget about them. But at the same time, I don't think Dave's afraid to go dark. Again, I point to the Thrawn episode in Ahsoka that is so
I
inspired
was
by
gonna say, and
Dune.
also like
It's got Dune all over it.
he also like he worked with George, so he knows like
Yeah,
what this franchise is all about. So he's
yeah,
definitely not. He's never gonna forget that. He's never gonna forget what the Star Wars franchise is, and so he's gonna want to make sure that every single project stays
yeah.
within what George was doing whenever Dave was working for him.
I guarantee Dave loves this new Dune movie. I guarantee it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I bet you he's already seen it like 7 times at least.
He's got that kind of money. Yeah, he can do that. For sure. He
He
can.
probably doesn't even need the money. He probably got sent it by Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, that's true. He probably saw it before any of us. It's like hopefully.
Exactly.
Oh man. But yeah, I'm just hoping that the Dune has a better effect on Star Wars and studios moving forward.
I just
want to
hope that,
carry
yeah,
that in.
I was gonna say, I feel like Dune, or I hope that Dune is having an impact on every single
Yeah.
company out there that exists right now.
Yeah, for
honestly.
sure. 100%. They do need to be paying attention. And speaking of darker things in Star Wars, let's get to this story here, which is very exciting. And the Acolyte has a tentative release date. This is another Collider exclusive. Getting great stories. The series has reportedly also found its composer. Following our report that the upcoming Star Wars series, The Acolyte, would be launching this summer, Collider has learned The Acolyte is currently slated to debut on Disney Plus June 5th of 2024.
yes.
Disney's representatives did not deny or confirm our reporting when reached out for comments. So there you are. The Acolyte, which hails from creator Leslie Headland, is a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. During the show, a former Padawan will reunite with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated. Well, that's what I'm talking about right there. The show will be set 100 years before the events of Star Wars, the Star Wars prequel trilogy. A time is known as the High Republic. The era of the High Republic has been documented extensively via Star Wars books, and the era is currently the focus of a publishing initiative that goes by the title of Star Wars: The High Republic. The scope of the expanded Star Wars universe, both in time and space, has been one ripe for exploration, a theme that was touched upon when Collider's Maggie Lovett spoke with Kathleen Kennedy back in 2022. Excuse me. As with most studio slates these days, the Acolyte's release date could be pushed to later in the year, but it is currently slated for June 5th, 2024, which would see it debut a month after the final episodes of The Bad Batch. Makes a lot of sense. A trailer is reportedly ready to be released, but it is unclear when Disney plans to unveil it. Star Wars Day or May the 4th could be an ideal day to share it with the fans who didn't catch it at Star Wars Celebration last year. Please, God, put it out earlier. Jordan Peele's Jordan Peele's go-to composer, Michael Abels, has been tapped for The Acolyte. I love that. The Collider can also confirm Michael Abels, the composer best known for the work alongside Jordan Peele in his 3 feature films, Get Out, Us, and Nope, has been tapped to produce the score for the upcoming series. Abels also composed
Oh, I love
the
it.
opera Omar, about the life of Omar in IBN, whatever, said. Oh, Ibn Said. Yeah, I know that name, and I didn't say it right. Based on his autobiography, A Muslim American Slave, The Life of Omar Ibn Said, written in 1831, mostly in Arabic, for his work on Omar. Abels, alongside composer and librettist Rhiannon Giddens, was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for music in 2023. Abels' score for Us received countless end-of-year nominations at numerous award ceremonies, while it was named Score of the Decade by The Wrap. It was an incredible score indeed. Can confirm. All right.
Fair.
So I love everything I'm hearing here. June 5th is great. The only thing I didn't like that I heard is May the 4th being a good date, but that's just speculation. I think they need to. Again, this is a darker story. Piggyback on Dune's success right now. Put this trailer out, like, right now. No joke. I think that
Honestly, like,
this
yeah.
a lot of people don't know about the High Republic. They don't know about this show. A lot of the masses get this thing out, get the hype building, make it happen right now. Start it now, and then maybe May the 4th put out a longer trailer. I could see that, but at least get the teaser out, right
Yeah,
now. I
you
think.
put in a teaser, like,
Yeah,
yeah, put a teaser, like, now. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Michael Abel's doing the score. I think the show's going to be pretty dark, just based on his past work
I
and the
mean, yeah,
fact that,
yeah,
yeah,
no, for sure.
he's worked with Jordan Peele. That bodes very well for me. This is the show. This is the Star Wars project I've been looking forward to the most of everything. We've been asking for Sith content for a long time. We're finally getting it, and
I know, I definitely have.
I'm so excited it's happening June 5th of this year. Finally, I believe the Collider report. I don't think that date's going to move. I know that they said that a lot of things
I
do.
know.
I think that is concrete. If it does move, I could see it maybe being just a couple days or a week off or something, but not too far off of June 5th. I think that sounds about right. Especially if they're looking for, they're circling the holidays for Skeleton Crew. Which makes sense because that is a little bit more the family fare that we were talking about, I
Yeah,
believe,
yeah, true.
but in a good way, hopefully. But this is the one that is the darkest. It makes sense to put it out in the summertime. I think it sounds like a great summer series. I'm very, very excited about the prospect of the show and what it could be and what it could entail. Yeah, man, I don't know. Do you have any other takes on this? I mean, what do you think?
Honestly, piggyback on you said about Abel's and his score. I've definitely just from that alone, I know this is going to be pretty dark. Probably the darkest thing that we're going to have for Star Wars, which I am absolutely looking forward to because I know I have definitely ranted on this channel, especially for Star Wars, about how I have been wanting something dark and Sith based for ever because we haven't gotten really anything like that for Star Wars. It's just all been Jedi. I mean, yeah, there's been Sith, but not like heavily Sith based. So definitely looking forward to that. Um, I also do believe, Collider is saying that June 5th is the release date, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. I can't wait for that. Again, the trailer, I'm just waiting for the trailer at this point because I can't wait to see what it entails. I know it's gonna be great, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. Yeah.
and yeah, no, I'm honestly just super excited for this. I can't wait for this to release and for me to watch it and for us to review it here for you guys to talk to you guys about it for sure.
Same, man, same. And it sounds like it's all shaping up to be something pretty special. I'm hoping anyway. I'm hoping this is the one that can like really bring the
Fingers
fans
crossed.
together and just, and I hopefully, the nice thing about this being set so early is, there is potential for multiple seasons. You know what I mean? And I think that's a pretty big thing. That's a pretty big takeaway, I think, of this. And man, I'm just so excited. I think it's being right at the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace 2 is really neat.
Hmm.
The Phantom Menace is a very Sith heavy movie, when you really start to break it down. And I think that it's neat that we're kind of returning to that part of the lore right around the time that we're at the 25th anniversary of that. So it makes a lot of sense. I think after the show comes out, prequel fever will be upon us. I definitely think, the other great thing about it is the marketing tie-in. They can really start to sell some of these High Republic books to some of the folks that don't know them as well,
No, for sure.
which I think will be really neat. And by the way, again, everything I've read of the High Republic series has been pretty solid. I do recommend that folks go read it. It's a lot. It's a little bit like Dune, very dense, but very solid stuff. I really enjoy what they've been doing with the High Republic. It's one of the better parts of the Disney canon, to be honest. It feels fresh, feels new, and everything. Yeah, everything about it is pretty great. I did want to talk about this story. So, um, a lot of people, a big part for a lot of people, Star Wars anyway, is not just enjoying the content, but the collecting aspect of it. A lot of people love to collect Star Wars things, and I mean, not me, duh. But yeah, no,
Yeah, definitely,
obviously,
definitely not me
not
either with
me,
my Star Wars
right?
books here.
But that's a huge part for the fans, and it's one of the things that we've kind of lost, I feel like, in the collection process is the physical media side of it. I mean, we've had Best Buy, just recently not put out any physical media at all. I mean, it's gone. You can't go into a Best Buy and buy physical media at all anymore. But it's been such a huge part of Star Wars, and I was so happy when they finally put out, at least with the Disney Plus stuff, they gave us the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, which are the best 2 seasons, and of course I bought them and I own them on 4K disc, and they're beautiful. It's the best way to watch the series, 100%. I recommend everybody who's a fan and a collector go get those steelbooks and get those 4K discs, because again, it enhanced the show so much for me. But that's 2 things from Disney Plus we have, and I still got to admit, even though I have a lot of Star Wars versions on VHS, Blu-ray, whatever, what have you, of all the movies, I have a lot of versions of all of them. I am still feeling a little incomplete. Well, good news. StarWars.com officially has put out that we are getting Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi on 4K disc.
My
Obi-Wan Kenobi
goodness.
and Andor head to 4K Ultra HD, and there's a nice picture of the steelbooks for y'all. The critically acclaimed series makes the jump to physical media. Hello there. Physical media fans, home video collectors, and every galaxy have reason to celebrate. Yes, we do, as Lucasfilm and Disney announced today that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Andor will come to 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray and Blu-ray on April 30th, originally released in 2022 on Disney Plus. All right, this will mark the first opportunity to own Emmy Award-nominated shows on disc. Both Obi-Wan Kenobi, the complete series, and Andor, the complete first season, 4K UHD, and Blu-ray sets will feature premium steelbook packaging and come with new bonus features, as well as exclusive concept art cards. You can get a first look at the set's original key art by Poster Posey. I believe that's how you pronounce that name. Artist Attila Sarka. I can't say that. And more below, along with a full breakdown of extras for each release. And then there's a little bit more of a look at the steelbooks inside casing.
So sick.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
All right.
These are what the droids are looking for.
100%.
These are what the droids are looking.
So let me tell you, I am so happy that Star Wars has not forgot about us physical media collectors. This is fantastic news.
Yeah, more you than me, but yeah.
For sure. But it's right around the corner, April 30th. I couldn't be happier. I get to pre-order these probably now and get them on 4K Steelbook and have them on April 30th. Man, again, just couldn't be more excited. Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I'm a completionist. I have to have that Steelbook.
Yeah, neither, but I know you do.
But Andor's the big one for me, man. Andor's like to have on 4K
Honestly,
Steelbook. Ooh.
If I was to buy one, it would probably be Andor for sure. I might get Obi-Wan. It just honestly for me depends on how much they're gonna cost.
I mean, to have that finally on the shelf right next to Rogue One, man, my Rogue One Steelbook, that's gonna feel so cool. And to have Obi-Wan, right above my New Hope Steelbook, that'll be neat as well. I think that's a huge thing. This is a huge thing for collectors. I'm very excited that this is finally happening and that we're all going to be able to have these, and you can. It's like it is. It really doesn't feel like it's officially part of the Star Wars family till you can hold it. There's something about that.
True.
Just something about them even being out there on physical media for people to buy and own is a big deal. And I think that. Again, I'm glad we're coming back to this, and yeah, man, I can't wait to see these discs. Again, Mandalorian, I was very surprised at how much better that disc enhances the show and the quality of it and the presentation of it. It's very, very neat, and I'm very much looking forward to this. I can't wait for these to come out. And again, this is definitely a story catered to me, but it's still huge Star Wars news, so we had to talk about it here today.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Will you pick either of these up? I mean, you got to go after the Andor at least, I feel like.
Oh no, I was like I said, if I was to, pick, buy one, it would definitely be the Andor one because that show's just incredible.
For sure.
Again, like I said, depending on the price, I might pick up both. I might not. We'll have to see. But definitely, if I was, if I was only able to get one, it would definitely have to be Andor because, I feel like watching the Andor season. And then going and watching, I know it's not complete yet, but watching that and then like going and watching Rogue One, it just feels like, I'm watching a whole long movie in a sense.
No, for sure. Like,
So-
100%. I 100% agree with you on that. All right, guys. So I did want to talk about another thing. So we did have some releases that Well, a release, and we got another release coming up here that I'm very excited about. So, one thing we haven't talked about at all, another thing we've kind of talked about, but not really. So, I did want to actually kind of sort of review this in a way, to a degree. The Dark Forces game got remastered and came out. I had a
Mm.
chance to play it in its entirety over the weekend. It's fantastic.
Yeah, how was it?
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite Star Wars game drops in a very long time. Um,
Fair.
shooting stormtroopers has never felt so satisfying in this than in this game. Asper, I believe it was Asper that put it out. Yeah, they did a great job. It was Asper. They did a great job with remastering the game. Uh, Being able to play as Kyle Katarn, I even went and got me a Kyle Katarn figure. I was so excited for this release. Being able to play as that classic Legends character again was a lot of fun. The settings, the environments in the game really did make me feel like I was playing in The Mandalorian Season 2. It definitely reminded me of where The Mandalorian Season 2 got its inspiration. Being able to go around and shoot these Dark Troopers in, again, a great remaster was incredible. Being a part of the rebellion and trying to stop the production of the Dark Troopers, man, it just feels immersive and fun. And this is a game that I played a lot of, not growing up per se, but just in my lifetime. And to see this remaster and have it in 1080p right there on my PS5, ready to go, doesn't take up a lot of gigabytes. It's like 1 point something gigabytes for the whole game. Fantastic, and they did a great job again on it, and it runs smooth. Uh, I had no bugs throughout the entire game. That's fantastic for a new release. It was one of the smoothest runs I've had. I was able to beat it in 12 hours, probably, maybe even a little less. And I wanted to go back and do it again. That's the great thing about the campaign. It's so fun that it makes you want to go back and do it again. It makes you want to go back and do it on all of the difficulties. Try to beat it on all of them, and it's so fun, man. I swear, I loved having the feel back of classic Star Wars, you know what I mean? It made me feel like I was in like a New Hope or something. I mean, it really, really brought it all back home for me. And this is such a great game. I recommend every Star Wars fan just pick this up. It is fantastic. So great job to Asper Media. For my own personal Star Wars fandom, while this game is incredibly frustrating at times, just because they make it hard, it's a challenge. It's still fun. Every minute of it is fun. You're not going to have a moment of not having fun while playing this game. This is even better than the Skywalker Saga Lego game to me. Like I thought that this was just the Star Wars experience I was just looking for in the moment in the time. And so everybody should go grab this copy of the Dark Forces remaster. Again, couldn't have imagined a better scenario for this. And man, I want to play it again just talking about it. I had so much fun with this. I had so much fun. The story is dark and it's good and it's immersive and it's fun and just, oh man, brought me back to those classic times. I don't know, Jose, you going to pick this one up and check it out?
I mean, I was kind of on the fence about it at first, mainly because of the
Okay.
price tag. But now you've just really sold me on it. Like
yeah.
I'm probably just gonna go ahead and pick it up right now and probably even start playing it some. The cool thing is that on Steam they sell it for $29.99, which honestly
Yeah.
isn't bad at all compared to what most games release now
Yeah.
go for. And the other cool thing too is that they have a bundle where you can get the classic version for free with the new remastered version. So you're paying $30 and you're getting both the remastered and the classic.
Yeah.
So I could even go back and play the classic and see how the graphics used to be back then.
Yeah.
Which would probably be something really cool to see.
It is very cool. I was able to do that obviously on the PS5 as well. Go back and look at the classic way and then do the comparison. It's astounding what the team has done over there at Asper with this game. They really just did a bang up job again.
That's normally the case. That's normally the case with a lot of those remastered games. Like you go back and play the old version and then you come back and play the remaster and it's like it's crazy what you can do to in terms of remastering a game, like with graphics and stuff. It's just absolutely crazy.
And that's the crazy thing too. That's why I did like that they did include the classic look of it, because when I think for a lot of people in the new generation, they might be a Star Wars fan, they're probably going to want to pick this up and then they'll look at it and be like, it doesn't look great, but then you go back and look how it used to look. oh, they did a bang up job on this thing. It does show once you do go back and look at
Yeah,
the
I mean, it's like it's not remastered, but when you look at the classic Star Wars Battlefront 2, and you look at the Battlefront 2 now, I know they're like two different games, but
yeah.
they're both
We'll talk about
Battlefront 2.
Battlefront in a second too,
The
but yeah, yeah, go ahead.
the 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 difference in graphics from the classic Battlefront 2 to the new Battlefront 2, like I remember playing. I had a friend who had a PS2 and he had Battlefront, the classic Battlefront 2. This was probably like 6, 7 years ago. I remember playing. We decided to play the classic Battlefront 2 to see what the
Yeah,
graphics, like what we used to see as kids.
for sure.
And I remember when I was a kid, like we thought those graphics were incredible, right? Because we were kids, and at that time, that's what that's what good graphics look like. But looking at it again now, it's like,
Yeah.
wait, we thought these were like we thought these were good graphics. Like, woo, we've come a very long way with in terms of graphics and all that stuff. Like, it's absolutely crazy.
I 100% agree with you on this, man. That's a, and yeah, just this is an astounding achievement. And again, like you could take away, I mean, take away the graphics part of it alone. I mean, just the game, the remaster, it runs so smooth. It just feels. I'm telling you, I've never been more satisfied shooting at stormtroopers. I mean, even the Battlefront games have not given me that
That's fair.
satisfaction, and it's so much fun, and you really do feel like you're playing. I like the simplicity of it. You know what I mean? I think what really makes this game great is the simplicity of it. You know, you got like I think it's like maybe I'm underselling it, but like 12 levels that you go through. You know, like each level will take you, I mean, if you're really good you could do it in 15 minutes, but if you're new to the game it's going to take you probably an hour a piece, you know what I mean, to beat these levels. And so you could beat it in about 12 hours or so, you know, if you're new to the game. And it'll probably take you a few tries. Again, I did enjoy the challenge of it, but the simplicity of the story really got me. And to just go back in and just see these, you know, play as this Legends character, having the classic music but in older video game form was so fun.
Right.
Really brought me back and gave me nostalgia and chills and hit me right in the feels of what I used to love about Star Wars. And we need more of these. We really, really do. I do hope that they remaster Dark Forces 2 and you know, continue on this trend. There's other Kyle Katarn games they can tackle. If this one does well, they might be able to. So yeah, just had a blast with that, and I'm recommending this to every single Star Wars fan that also is a gamer. Definitely pick this one up. It's just a blast. The most fun, I should say, I've had with the game in a long time. Not gonna say it's better than Jedi Survivor or Fallen Order, but to me, it's more fun. I'm gonna revisit this one more just because of the fun of it. And yeah, just had a blast playing it. I love the feels it gives me. All right, guys. Continuing on that trend, though, we are also getting a Battlefront Classic Collection that is coming out on March 12th. So that's right around the corner as well. I can't wait to go back and play these classic games. And this is also done by Asper. So very excited to see what they did here. It's got a slight remaster. The remaster doesn't look as extensive as, say, the Dark Forces remaster. But it does have a slight like resolution upgrade, which is great. Very excited to get back into these. We're going to get some online play back into it, which is fantastic. Having online gaming was hard back in the day. So for those of us that missed out on the Kit Fisto and Asajj Ventress DLC back in the day, we're going to have that now, which is fantastic. That's coming free with the game. But yeah, Battlefront I have fond memories of, a little bit more than Dark Forces, I must say, as a kid. And definitely looking forward to revisiting these in new resolution and seeing what Asper has done for even just the gameplay side of it, and remastering these things to a T. Jose, what do you think of the Battlefront Classic Collection? Is this something you're going to pick up?
I mean, yeah, I'll probably pick up both Dark Forces, and
Yeah,
I mean, probably more the Battlefront collection, just because that's what I grew up playing,
yeah,
the classic Battlefront games, especially
yeah,
Battlefront 2. So, and after what you told me about how great the remaster was for Dark Forces, I feel like it's
yeah.
just gonna be the same for these Battlefront
Mm-hmm.
classics. And so I would probably prioritize the Battlefront collection, just because of how nostalgic Battlefront 2,
Yeah,
the classic Battlefront 2 is for me. Um, but I mean, at some point, I'll probably end up having both in my library and
yeah,
play both of them. Um, but yeah, no, I'm honestly just super excited to see what how the remastering has been done for this Battlefront
yeah.
collection. Again, because of how how much of a fan I am
Yeah.
of the classic Battlefront. So I'm just super excited. Honestly, we'll be picking it up. They are running a discount right now on on Steam until March 13th. It's
Sweet.
20% off right now. So I'll probably just go ahead and pre-order that right now and just wait for it to be released and just start playing that thing like
Yeah.
crazy. I'll be having a bunch of hours on that game.
Yeah, I hope this does well. It's a real wake up call for Star Wars gaming. I really think that um, it's not that we don't want Battlefront games. We do. We just want you to make them feel a little bit more like what we used to get out of them, and say for even like Dark Forces. I mean, I'm telling you, the feeling you get out of that game, you don't get out of modern Star Wars games. There was some magic back then, you know what I mean, that they haven't been able to recreate.
Right.
And I think the same is going to go for Battlefront. I can't wait to play the Battlefront 2 campaign again. Oh my gosh, that campaign is incredible.
Oh no,
Uh,
yeah, same.
uh,
That campaign was crazy.
oh, with Tamara Morrison's narration on that, and just going through
Yep.
Order 66 and all. Oh my gosh, and transitioning from clones to stormtroopers, man, such a great campaign. I can't
Yep.
wait to play that again and indulge in that. And gosh, I missed that story so much, and I can't wait to do it again in a new light. And hopefully again, and like I said, this isn't a remaster as extensive as Dark Forces, but there is that slight resolution upgrade. I know they did go back and upgrade the gameplay of it a little bit, make it run a lot more smooth. Again, the gameplay is key with Dark Forces, man. They really smooth that thing out. I mean, it plays like a
Right.
dream, and I think Battlefront will be the same thing. So I'm very excited to get
Right.
back into that and do it again. And yeah, man, I think it's going to be fun. I really do. I can't wait to do it online again. I think it'll be a big online turnout for this thing. Uh, a lot bigger than people are thinking. I think
No, no, for sure.
the game's going to be mighty successful. I really feel that way. I can't wait to play the classic maps. Can't wait to play Mustafar again and Dagobah and all these classic
Oh
maps
man,
that we
I can't wait
loved.
to,
And
yeah, bro. Kashyyyk with the Wookiees,
oh
man.
yeah, yeah, Kashyyyk was great.
Man,
Um,
that was a great feeling.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, for sure. They all
great, great.
I mean, they had oh gosh, there's that other one too that was during Order 66. I can't think of that they had on there, but oh man, they're just all great. Utapau, I think Utapau was on there, if I'm not mistaken as well. So
Oh, Utapau, yeah.
yeah, so they had tons of great maps on there that you could play through, and yeah, again, I'm just glad to very much like Dark Forces get back to the feel that I had as a kid while playing Star Wars gaming. It's really giving me the Star Wars itch again playing Dark Forces, and with this the trailers look great for this Battlefront game, so the Battlefront remaster, so it's really getting me back, man, to the nostalgia of it, and just super,
Oh, for sure.
super duper stoked. And I'm glad that we're going to be busy playing Star Wars this year. More than I thought we were going to be this year, honestly, just between
Oh,
these
100%.
two games that are coming out, man. All right, guys. So a lot of you may want to tune out now because this is the segment where we're going to talk some Bad Batch spoilers. So we haven't had a chance to
Mm,
catch up together on episodes 1 through 4 yet, but they have all dropped, and we're going to talk about all 4 of them in spoiler form, and then hopefully we can do it week by week here after this. So, all right, Jose, let's talk about Bad Batch season 3, or the final season rather, and we're going to talk about episodes 1 through 4 in spoiler form. If you guys are tuning out now, thank you for being here. Please watch the episodes and come back and listen to our spoiler take on the Bad Batch, and this will end out the show. All right, so I'm always a little hesitant on Bad Batch, right? I mean, I was super stoked for this season because of the way that season 2 had ended. It definitely ended on a great
right.
cliffhanger. But again, it is Bad Batch, and I always feel like
It
it's a
did.
little bit of a chore to get through. Just for myself, that's me speaking from my personal experience. A lot of people love the style of the show and the way it plays, and that's great. Great for them. For me, I could tell you it's always a chore to get through. This season's like must-watch television right now. It's so good. I am thoroughly enjoying it. Uh,
For sure.
so far, every story beat has been fantastic. I think the reason it's working for me is because they're doing what I think the show should have done a long time ago. They're slowing down a little bit. They're focusing in on character, and that is the main thing here. The story is it feels like one big through line. And the show undeniably to me works better when you do it this way. Um, it's no more. I'm not saying they won't have a couple this season that'll be this way, but it's really taking away the mission of the week and just focusing in on with one big storyline. And so far, I have enjoyed that. I think it's been working great. Again, and these characters I've always liked, by the way, even in the first 2 seasons. Even when it was a shorter watch, I've always enjoyed the characters. I just wanted to see a better story for them, and it really kind of reminds me of the Bad Boys franchise, where it's like 1 and 2 are, they're not the best stories of Bad Boys, but those characters are fantastic. You give them a great story, it'll work, and then Bad Boys 3 turns out to be the best one of all of them, and is a massive success for the franchise. And the same thing I feel like has happened here with Bad Batch. Like, they're just giving it a great story to go off of, and they're continuing down the path. And I think for the most part, I've heard most fans are loving this season. It's great. It's must-watch TV right now, 100%. I do get vibes of The Last of Us a little bit, which is awesome. I'm not saying it's on that level, but there are vibes of it. There's inspiration taken, I think, a little bit with the storytelling. Even the one episode that feels like it could have been Adventure of the Week doesn't, because you have this backdrop, and again, we're talking spoilers here, of Omega, right? Like, trying to get Omega. Like, when you have that as your sort of backdrop and for the entire show, you can go off and do side missions, but we're always going to feel like the stakes are high because we know why you're doing the side mission. And I think that's the biggest difference here in this season. It's not like, oh, hey, I got a job for you, go do it. All right, next episode, hey, got another job for you, go do it. This season we have a through line: save Omega. And now the only thing that makes me just slightly nervous, or it was starting to make me nervous, is in episode 4, Omega does get back, reunites with the Bad Batch, but then that epic cliffhanger, right? Because Crosshair gets off the ship and he sees Hunter. Hunter ain't ready to embrace Crosshair, and I'm loving that we're
Wrecker.
And Wrecker. Neither of the two are ready to embrace him, and I love that we're continuing the through line of Crosshair's arc, which has also been an important piece of this. And again, slowing down, focusing on character. Let's keep doing that. So thoroughly enjoying the show so far. Jose, what do you think, man?
I mean, you basically hit the nail on the coffin there with everything you said. I mean, I agree 100% with you said. Ending of season 2 was a sad one, but it was a cool, I guess, a cool way to end, to kind of keep us on our toes for season 3. I agree with you how with especially with season 2, how like all the side quests were just, oh, I got a job for you here, do this.
Yeah.
Next episode, I got another job for you here, go do this job. It was literally just to be able to have money to survive, have buy food,
Sure,
buy whatever it is that they needed to survive. So it didn't feel like there was like anything heavy or significant there for these side quests. Whereas in this season so far, the one side, or I guess the couple side quests that they go on, have that heavy significance, which is, like you said, save Omega, which is why they work and why they have worked for this season so far. I love, like you said, how this is focusing on one big story, which, at least for the first 3 episodes, which is save Omega. We're gonna find the information that we need to go and save her.
Mm-hmm.
What I really, really have enjoyed so far, or what I enjoyed in the first 3 seasons was, and bit of the fourth one as well, is the chemistry between Omega and Crosshair that builds.
Yes.
That to me was perfectly done. It was amazing from the start to until they reunite, obviously, with Wrecker and Hunter.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of how Omega was building a relationship with Tech in the second season.
Yeah.
It feels like she had to do it with it. She didn't really have to do it with Hunter that much, really. They kind of just clicked. Same thing with Wrecker. They kind of just understood straight away. But with Tech and Crosshair, because I mean Crosshair kind of went the other way. But with Tech, who was still a part of the Bad Batch.
Sorry,
the Tech, the way that she had to build a relation. Tech, the way that she had to build a trust, because Tech's that kind of guy that's like, he's not really the emotional kind of guy.
I love that
Wrecker
stuff
and
last
Hunter
season. That was some of the best stuff.
Are more of the emotional guys, and I loved how they built that relationship with Omega and Tech over time, and how it ended was great. And I see the same thing here with Omega and Crosshair, kind of the same deal, but done in such a different and great way. Like it's the same thing, but it's done differently, obviously, because they're two different characters and they have two different backstories and things that have happened in their lives. So I really did enjoy, like, that was probably my favorite thing out of these 4 seasons. Why I keep saying seasons? The 4 episodes that we've had so far is the Omega and Crosshair chemistry. I really did like the little beast that Omega became friends with. I thought he was a really cute
Yeah.
addition to this season so far. Trying to think what else. The Kaminoan doctor lady, she was for the bit that we saw her, she was good too. You know, trying to basically help Omega escape and tell her the truth of why they wanted her blood.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Palpatine's parts as well. Whoo,
Let's
hearing
get
Ian
into that.
McDermott voice again.
Let's get into that.
Oh my.
First of all,
Honestly, I'm telling you right now, no one can do it better than him, man. Ian
Yeah.
McDermott is just him. He's, oh my goodness, man. So like I could feel
Yeah.
the darkness and like the scariness and
Mhm.
just in his voice. Like his voice just carries so much.
It
Like
does.
you don't even need to see him in person. It's just his voice alone is what
Yeah.
makes him. And I
Yeah.
loved it so much.
Oh, Jimmy Simpson too was a doctor. Oh gosh, what's his name? The guy.
Oh
who's-
yeah, the other doctor, I forgot his name, but yeah, him
He's
too.
fantastic. He's a fantastic
Yeah.
villain this season. He's
No.
very scary
Oh,
and
yeah.
intimidating. So enjoying that as well. And by the way, this is an animated show. It has some of the darkest villains we've had. This is going back into
Exactly.
our conversation earlier. This is my point. Like some of the darkest
Exactly.
stuff we've had, and I'm definitely enjoying. I'm definitely enjoying that. Yeah, I piggyback off everything you say. I mean, Omega is really coming into her own this season, and building that relationship with Crosshair has definitely just helped her mature as a character for sure in a lot of ways.
And a lot older than we left her.
Oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. They definitely did like a really nice time jump, and it didn't feel like it was unnecessary. Like it felt like a necessary time jump. And I
Right.
love that. And it actually did make me emotional, by the way, when she did reunite with them. Like it really got me. Like when she saw Hunter and
Bro, it got
Wrecker
me tearing
again.
up.
Yeah,
It got me tearing up,
it
man.
hit. Yeah, it worked because of that time jump and because of the way they played it, because of the focus on this story. It worked. And diving into Palpatine, because this is expanding on the
I
larger.
won't lie to you.
Yeah.
The
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the when Crosshair pops out and you see Hunter and Wrecker's faces, that almost made me like jaw drop.
Oh
When I
yeah.
was watching, I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what's actually like what's gonna happen in episode 5? How are they
100%.
actually gonna like react?
Yeah.
Are they gonna hug him? Are they gonna try and attack him? Like
Mhm.
what's actually gonna happen? Like I'm really intrigued to see what happens in the next episode in terms of that.
No, for sure. I gotta say though, yeah, 100%. But this expanding on the larger Star Wars lore is a big part of this too. I did want to talk about the Palpatine stuff going on because, all right, so we have Project Necromancer, right? That's kind of what this is going into, setting up a bit. There's a moment in episode 3, Palpatine comes in, right, and then he looks at inside this Bacta tank, and we have no idea what's inside this tank, but Palpatine saw it, and he's happy about it. Are we looking at Snoke or are we looking at Palpatine? What's inside that tank? What do you think?
I think it's a younger, more powerful version of himself, and
Okay.
he's trying to find an M count equal to his to be able to basically bring this younger, more powerful version of
Yeah.
himself to life.
Yeah.
Is what I think is happening because obviously right now the Palpatine that we're seeing is he knows that he's his death is very close
Yeah.
and he's basically trying to do everything in his power to make sure that that doesn't happen. And so basically this project, because it's literally in the name too, Project Necromancer, he's
100%,
quite
yeah.
literally trying to bring back
I
a
agree.
younger, more powerful version of himself back to life.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, or it could be, which we know is a clone from canon, his son, Rey's father. That was another alternative that I thought it might be. So
That's possible too, yeah.
yeah. Oh, by the way, the scene where her M count was right. Oh my God, that got me. I was like, oh shit, the stakes like just raised immediately because now they're gonna still be going after Omega throughout the season. They still want her back, right? So the stakes raised immediately, and
I mean, they did through episode 4. They were trying to. They found the ship that crashed, and yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, but that moment too was amazing because of the way that Jimmy Simpson was like, all right, now call off the ships. And then like they had to call off the fleet to try to capture her because he wants her alive now. And it's like, it's changed the game. It's really changed the game at this point now,
Oh,
knowing that
100%.
her M count was positive. So that was interesting as well. I do agree with you. I do think he was looking at a younger Palpatine probably, or a different version of himself that was more powerful. I mean, I think that this is retroactively trying to fill in the plot holes of Rise of Skywalker. That's essentially what this this is setting up. I do like, even though we're away from the base on episode 4, they
Yeah.
didn't stray away from what was happening with the villains. Like, they're still building that part of the story so we can have more context to it of everything going on there. So I enjoy that they're not going to stray away from that. We're still going to see what's going on with the villains. I think my prediction is Omega's going to go back and try to save her quote-unquote sister. That's my prediction. She's going to get the Bad Batch crew, and they're going to go try and get her out with the whole crew and Crosshair. I think they have a clone of Asajj Ventress at this point. I don't think it's the actual Asajj. I think that they've taken her DNA and they've cloned her. That's how I think she's going to return as well. So I think that'll be a really fascinating part of the plot as well. As we know from the trailer, we are getting some kind of version of Asajj back in the story. So definitely think it's some kind of clone that they're going to set on them. And that excites me too. I love that they are diving into this cloning stuff because having a clone of Asajj makes a lot more sense. Cloning is some of my favorite stuff in the Heir to the Empire trilogy. I think that they handled it well, and it does feel like with this show they're on the same track of doing that. So super stoked about this show, man. I'm so excited that I'm like this happy about a Bad Batch season, man. And there's no exaggeration here. This is must watch television right now. If you guys aren't watching the Bad Batch, catch up. I will. I know the first 2 seasons aren't the best to watch. They will feel like a chore, but once you through them, it's all worth it for the payoff we're getting so far here in this final season. I mean, it is banging, dude. Every week, I'm so excited for this. I like this season better than Mandalorian season 1 and 2 so far. I'm not kidding. This is how much I like the show so far. It's near Andor level.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's like near Andor Ahsoka level for me so far. It's on that level of greatness that I know that they're capable of. Loving the character-driven story and just I hope they continue on this track, man. I hope that this final season ends well and yeah, man, it feels like it's real Star Wars. You know what I mean? It really feels like real, authentic Star Wars, and I'm enjoying all of it. And again, like Star Wars is best when it focuses on characters. Stop it with the, the spectacle side of it. Oh, faster, more intense. I know that's an old idea of George's, but when you start to focus on character, man, you tell such better stories. Audiences are more invested. Man, I'm loving every minute of the season, and every minute of it is enthralling, and it's getting me, and it's making me excited for
sure.
the prospect of even just Star Wars animation moving forward. We're getting Tales of the Jedi season 2 this year. Man, I'm excited for that now. You know what I mean? It's like this is a great precursor to that already because it's showing what we can do within the animation. We can make great Star Wars, Not that Filoni hadn't done that before. I mean, Rebels to me is some of the best Star Wars out there. It's just, it felt like with the first 2 seasons of Bad Batch, we were lacking it. It's like, why are we going back to the well of, Adventure of the Week and all that? Like, I understand that George loved Buck Rogers, but that doesn't mean we got to do it now. Like, it's, we're so much stronger than that in storytelling these days. We don't have to do the serial thing anymore. You can take influence from it now and again.
Isn't that also because Paycheck was involved then?
Well, with season 2, I think it had a big part of it in season 2 because I do think that season 2 they probably did want to start connecting more. But season 1 was, that was all the fault of the powers that be. But Iger was there for season 1, so anyway.
I mean, I prefer season 1 to season 2, anyways. But yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Anyway, but this is the best one, no doubt. I think that they're
100%, yeah.
They're letting Dave Filoni and Jennifer Corbett do what they want here and close it out the way they want, and it shows they're not trying to appease 2 children again, like we were talking about earlier. It's not just like a children-centered show. They're really trying to open it up to all fans and just make a story that
they're going away from that family fare.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, it's an animated show. Kids should love it, Kids will love it. I think kids will love this as well as adults, and that's the great thing about it, man. Thoroughly
100%.
enjoying this. Thoroughly enjoying this. This is such fun stuff. All right, guys, those are our thoughts of the Bad Batch season 3 so far. You guys got to let us know what you think. And as of the time you're watching this, the 5th episode will be out. So very exciting. So can't wait to get into that one with Jose as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. So I did want to throw out a quick apology about our Dune 2 spoiler review. We had some audio issues. on that. And thank you guys for bearing with that. And thank you all for watching the non-spoiler review. I mean, it's so great to see you guys engaging with that, despite the audio issues we did have. And it really is gratifying to know that we're out there. We're talking to somebody out there that really does make this experience all the better. And we're just going to keep moving forward, I think, and not slow down. I really do want to make 2024 our year. I think Jose and I both set out to do that from the very beginning, and it's starting to pay off, I think, a little bit. So thank you, everybody, though. It
No, for sure.
couldn't happen without all of you out there who are viewing this stuff, and by no means is that lost on me. So appreciate it. All right, guys, look, let us know what you think of all the Star Wars stuff. I think that this is a better year for Star Wars than I thought it was going to be, man. I really got to tell you, like, just immediately, I thought Bad Batch was going to be the one show that was like, all right. And then I thought Tales of the Jedi Season 2 would be a cool novelty, and I thought Acolyte would be great, and then Skeleton Crew would be like, ah. But we also got the 2 games, as we talked about, and everything exciting with Star Wars this year, man. This is a much bigger year for Star Wars than I genuinely thought it was going to be. And I couldn't be happier about it, man. This is the biggest year we've had for Star Wars in a while, in a way. We're getting movie updates again, and it's like, this feels great, man. I think we're back. I think we really are back, and it feels amazing to me, man. It makes me emotional inside. I love it. I love it. All right, Jose, before we get out of here, let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Jose Espinel5, all lowercase all together, and on YouTube as the Latino Spicy King.
All right, fantastic. And then you guys can find me on Twitter or on X at Dom_Martino_official, and on Instagram, Dom_Martino_official. Follow the Extract Media pages and Extract Media blog across both platforms, X and Instagram. And then before we get out of here as well, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, hit the bell for notifications if you enjoyed what you saw here today. That being said, I have been Dom Martino. That's been Mr. Jose Espinel, and we will talk to you guys later.
See ya.